Jared Holt didn't even think. He saw the warden drone powering up, rusted, swaying, still deadly, and then he saw the tiger, pinned against a slab of rock, breathing hard, bleeding from her flank. A sacred Ralthek, unmistakable in size and sheen. She was trying to stand. She wouldn't make it. Jared drew his pistol and ran straight into the heat. The first 2 shots missed. The third hit the drone's cannon coil, and the world went white. He hit the sand hard, shrapnel ripping across his shoulder. His vision flashed, ears ringing, lungs full of dust. The scream of twisted metal faded behind him. Something nearby growled low and deep, but didn't strike. Then everything went quiet. He opened his eyes to smoke and sky. His chest burned, his arm was numb, his gear was scorched, and the tiger was still alive. She stood just meters away, massive, white-striped, with gold-amber eyes locked on his body. Blood soaked her flank, but she didn't fall. She didn't run either. Jared tried to move. Pain flared like fire across his side. That was when he heard the footsteps. Soft at first, but deliberate, steady, unafraid. And then she appeared. The alien knelt beside him, her silhouette framed by the burning horizon. She had deep red skin that shimmered like lacquered stone under the twin suns. Glowing black markings coiled across her shoulders and down her ribs. She wore almost nothing, only dark tactical gear strapped across her toned figure, glinting faintly with dust and heat. Long crimson hair swept forward from behind pointed ears. Her eyes were narrow, golden, and bright with something cold. She didn't speak right away. Then without emotion the alien female said, "You're human." Jared coughed. "Guilty as charged." "You intervened." Jared looked past her at the tiger. Didn't seem like she had much backup. The alien frowned slightly. "You didn't have authorization." Jared squinted at her. "Sorry, was I supposed to let her die for diplomatic reasons?" The alien didn't smile. She reached into a pouch at her side, removed a canister, and sprayed a cooling foam over his burned shoulder. Jared hissed. "My name is Velari," she said. "That Ralthek is Theris. She is my guardian." Jared glanced toward the tiger. "She yours?" "Bound to me," Velari replied. "By sacred right, you shouldn't have touched her, let alone bled for her." "I didn't know," Jared said through gritted teeth. "Didn't matter." Velari tilted her head. "Why would a human care?" "I care when something breathes," Jared muttered, "especially when it can't defend itself." Velari was silent. For a moment, the only sounds were the distant crackle of flame and the hiss of the cooling agent evaporating off Jared's wounds. "You destroyed the warden," Velari said, with a sidearm. Jared smiled faintly. "I aimed to impress." "You nearly died," she added. "Still impressive," Jared said, then coughed again. Velari studied him, not with gratitude, with calculation, as if trying to understand a puzzle that didn't make sense. Jared looked up at her, eyes glassy. "I'm not going to make it, am I?" Velari didn't answer immediately. She glanced toward Theris, who still stood a few paces off, watching quietly, breathing heavily. "You're not dead yet," Velari said. "But you will be. That blast gave off raw plasma radiation. Your system's already breaking down." Jared grimaced. "Then patch me up. You've got med foam, right?" Velari met his eyes again. Her expression shifted, just slightly. Not softness, but something close to it. "I shouldn't help you," Velari said. "If I report what happened here, you'll be executed. For touching her, for trespassing, for interfering with a guardian." "And you?" Jared asked. Velari said, "I'd be stripped of caste. I'd lose everything. Maybe even face tribunal." "Then walk away," Jared said hoarsely. Velari stared at him. "You didn't walk away when you had the chance," Jared smiled. "Didn't know aliens did poetic justice." "We don't," Velari replied. "But I do." She rose to her feet and turned toward the ridge. "There's a place," Velari said. "Caverns beneath Aleth Ridge, forbidden, forgotten, but they contain an old stasis vault. If I carry you there, we may buy time. If not, I die out here," Jared said. "Alone, after saving a tiger." Velari looked down at him again. Not alone. The tiger moved. Theris stepped closer, her white fur streaked with ash, her paws silent in the sand. She approached Jared slowly, then knelt beside him, resting her chin against his side. Jared froze. Velari stiffened. "She's never done that before," Velari said under her breath. "Not with anyone." "What does it mean?" Jared asked, his voice cracking. Velari didn't answer, not fully. "It means," Velari said, "we need to move before she does something that can't be undone." She dropped to one knee and slid her arm beneath his back, helping him upright. Jared groaned, breath shaking. "Still think this is stupid?" "It is," Velari said, "but you saved her life, and I will not let that be your last act." Theris stepped behind them, her massive body now following close. Protective. Velari nodded once, as if sealing a silent vow, and started down the ridge with Jared's arm draped over her shoulder. Above them, in the jagged cliffs, a black drone stirred. Its lens glowed once, then locked on. The sky was still on fire, and now someone knew they were running. The climb was brutal. Velari moved quickly but carefully, supporting Jared's weight with her shoulder as they traversed the broken sandstone ridges that jutted out of the canyon like fractured ribs. Each step was harder than the last. His breath came in ragged bursts. Blood soaked through the bandage on his side, and the skin around his wound was turning gray-blue. The suns were nearly gone now. The sky had deepened to a burnt violet, and the heat shimmered against the scorched desert floor. Ahead, hidden behind a curtain of crumbling stone, loomed the jagged entrance to Eleth Ridge. Velari paused beside the opening and looked up at the ancient carving etched into the rock, a spiral symbol, cracked and faded. "We're here," Velari said. Jared's voice was faint. "This your version of heaven?" "No," Velari answered. "This is where people go when their name is no longer spoken." She ducked inside, helping him through the narrow passage. Behind them Theris padded silently, her huge form almost blending with the cavern shadows. Her breathing was shallow, but steady. The interior of the cave was vast, cool, and quiet. Bioluminescent fungi pulsed blue along the walls. Stalactites drooped like spears. Velari guided Jared down a natural slope toward a chamber at the back, a hollow ring of stone etched with long dead runes. Jared stumbled. His legs buckled. Velari caught him mid-fall. "Hold on." "I'm trying," Jared muttered. "My body's not cooperating." Velari lowered him carefully onto a flat stone slab. His muscles were twitching beneath the skin. His fingers spasmed, then went still. "It's accelerating," Velari said, almost to herself. "Faster than I thought." "What is?" Jared asked, blinking hard. Velari crouched beside him. "Plasma sickness. The radiation's cooking your blood. If it reaches your spine—" "I won't feel it," Jared finished. "That's the problem, right?" Velari didn't reply. She opened her pack and removed 2 small crystal vials. One she poured across the wound on his shoulder. The liquid fizzed and steamed. The other she held in her hand, hesitating. "What's that one do?" Jared asked. Velari's voice was quiet. "It forces the body into stasis. If it works, it'll slow everything. Buy us a day, maybe 2. Side effects? You may stop breathing," Velari said flatly. Jared coughed. "Not much of a selling point." Velari's gaze held his. "Do you trust me?" Jared managed a weak grin. "If I said no, you'd still do it." "No," Velari said. "If you said no, I wouldn't try. It's dangerous, even for my kind." He looked at her. Really looked. Her red skin was dusted with soot. Sweat beaded along her neck, but her expression, sharp, regal, distant, was cracked now. Just a little. Just enough. "I trust you," Jared said. Velari nodded once. Then she injected the vial into the base of his neck. Jared's body convulsed. He gasped, and his back arched, but she was already lowering him, whispering something in her language, soft, rhythmic, calming. After several seconds, the spasms slowed. His chest rose again. He was still breathing, barely. Velari leaned back, her hands shaking. Theris moved closer. The tiger stepped into the center of the ring and sat beside Jared's body. Her gold eyes locked onto him. She didn't blink. Velari watched her. "No, don't do this." Theris let out a deep exhale and lowered her head until her forehead touched Jared's arm. "Theris," Velari said quietly, "I know what you're feeling, but this isn't the way." The tiger stayed still. The chamber grew quieter, and then a hum, a faint vibration in the air, a pulsing glow. Jared stirred. Velari's eyes widened. "No." The tiger's glow intensified. The faint bioluminescence of the cavern walls flickered in sync with her breath. Her stripes shimmered like molten silver. Velari stood, backing away. "Theris, stop. You know what this means." But the guardian didn't stop. The air thickened with pressure. Static licked the stone. Jared let out a broken sound, then settling. Then it was done. The glow faded. The cave was silent again. Velari approached slowly. Her heart thudded. Her hands clenched. Theris stepped back. Jared opened his eyes, not fully alert, but awake. His pupils glowed faintly, and something in his breathing matched the tiger's, subtle, synchronized. Velari stared. He looked up at her and whispered, "What just happened?" Velari couldn't answer, because there was no answer that would make this right. "You've been chosen," she said finally. "She's transferred her bond." Jared blinked. "What does that mean?" Velari's voice was flat. "It means you're now part of the guardian chain, spiritually, biologically, irrevocably." "That bad?" Jared asked. Velari looked away. "That illegal." She rose to her feet, walked a few steps, then stopped and pressed a hand against the cavern wall. "I brought you here to save you," Velari said. "But Theris made it something else. You're not just a human anymore. Not to her, not to our people." Jared tried to sit up. "Can we undo it?" Velari shook her head. "No. The bond is sealed. Your scent is hers. Her instinct is yours. Her soul, split between us now." He went quiet. Velari turned to face him again. "I broke every law bringing you here, but I could have survived that. This—" She didn't finish the sentence. Instead, she sat across from him and stared at the stone beneath her boots. Jared watched her, and beside them Theris lay still, her massive body curled like a sentinel around the two people now bound to her. Outside, the suns were setting. Inside, the bond had formed, and nothing could ever go back to the way it was. Jared Holt woke to breathing, not his own, slow, heavy, warm. The sound wasn't coming from beside him, it was coming from within him, like a second rhythm layered under his own heartbeat. When he opened his eyes, the cavern ceiling shimmered with soft bioluminescent light. The stone beneath him was cool, the air carried the scent of ash and fir. And Theris was watching him. The tiger rested nearby, her massive white-striped body curled beside him like a living wall. Her eyes locked on his as soon as he stirred. She didn't move, but her chest rose and fell in perfect sync with his own. It wasn't just awareness, it was alignment. Jared sat up slowly. His shoulder twinged, but the pain was a memory now. The stiffness in his limbs had faded. He flexed his hand experimentally. "I feel okay," Jared murmured. Across the cavern, Velari stood against the far wall, arms crossed. She said nothing. Jared blinked at her, then at the tiger beside him. "It worked?" Velari didn't move. "Something worked, but not what I expected." "I'm not dead. That's a win," Jared said, voice hoarse. Velari stepped closer. "The guardian bond wasn't transferred, it was extended." Jared frowned. Meaning she's linked to both of us now," Velari said. "She didn't break our connection. She just added you to it." Jared looked down at Theris. The tiger exhaled deeply, head resting on her paws. Calm, still, present. "So now we both feel her?" Jared asked. Velari nodded once. "Yes, and through her in moments, we may feel each other." Jared looked up, uneasy. "That common?" "No," Velari said. "It's unheard of." Jared was quiet for a moment. "How do you feel about that?" Velari's expression didn't shift. "I haven't decided." Jared stood slowly, muscles straining. Theris rose when he did, walking a circle around him before sitting back down at his side. "She's protective," Jared said. "She always has been," Velari replied. But it's more than that now. Her instincts are shared. You're part of her territory. Jared chuckled dryly. That doesn't sound ominous at all. Velari approached but stopped a few paces short. You don't understand what this means, Jared. Then explain it, he said. Velari took a slow breath. The guardian chain is sacred. Generations of my bloodline have passed it down. Each tiger chooses one soul to anchor with, always one. That was me, now it's both of us. Jared rubbed his chest. And that's not allowed. Not even imagined, Velari said. The high houses will see this as corruption, a broken right. If they learn what happened, they'll try to sever it. Can they? Jared asked. Velari's eyes darkened. Not without killing you. The cave was quiet for a long moment. Jared looked down at Theris again. She doesn't seem to care about the law. No, Velari said. She never did. Jared sat back on the edge of the stone ring. You could still walk away. Pretend it didn't happen. Velari shook her head. I would still feel her grief if you died. That is the price of this link. There's no undoing it. Jared met her eyes. So we're stuck. Velari hesitated, then said softly, We're joined. He studied her face. For the first time, she didn't look like a soldier or a noble. Just a person standing in the middle of something she couldn't control. You've lost more than I realized, Jared said quietly. Velari turned away. I lost the life I was bred for, the role I trained for since childhood. Theris was my identity. She still is, Jared said. Velari's voice was sharp. Not only mine. Jared didn't argue. Instead, he stepped toward her. So what do we do? We run, Velari said. We hide. We find places that haven't heard our names. Jared nodded. Together? Velari's gaze held his. We share the same guardian. We share the consequences. Yes, together. Theris stood between them now, her tail sweeping slowly across the stone. Jared reached out and ran a hand along her back. She chose this, he said. Velari nodded. She did. Jared exhaled. Then maybe we have to too. Velari looked at him, really looked. Are you ready for that? I don't know, Jared admitted. But I wasn't ready to save her either. I just did. Velari gave the faintest nod. Then I'll teach you, if you'll listen. Jared grinned faintly. To you? Always. For a second, something unspoken passed between them, an understanding not born of bond or biology, but of mutual surrender to something bigger than either of them. Theris lay down between them again, eyes closed now, content. Outside the cavern, the sky darkened. Unseen, high above the ridge, a Velari scout ship moved silently through the clouds, scanning the terrain. Inside the cave, the three figures rested, connected. Not equals, not yet allies, but bonded, by fate, by defiance, and by the silent choice of a tiger who saw something worthy in both. They came at dusk, swift, precise, and without warning. One moment Velari was guiding Jared through the pale stone passes beyond the caverns. The next, shadows descended from the cliffs in synchronized motion, scout drones, a drop skiff. Then soldiers, cloaked in the violet and gold of the Velari enforcers, surrounded them in silence. Jared barely had time to step in front of Theris. She snarled, a low, guttural sound that made even the soldiers hesitate. Velari raised her hands. We surrender. Jared turned to her. You're sure about that? I'm not, Velari said, but they were going to find us eventually. The hall of Aerolith's spire was nothing like Jared imagined. There were no chains, no cages, just cold carved stone and a ceiling open to the blood-colored sky. The tribunal stood on a raised circle above, robes sweeping the floor, faces half hidden behind ceremonial veils. The amphitheater curved around them, filled with whispering nobles, caste leaders, and scholars, some leaning forward in fascination, others recoiling in disgust. Jared stood in the center, beside Velari. His wrists were unbound, but the silence around him felt heavier than shackles. Theris stood at his side, tail flicking. Her white fur glowed in the fading light. An elder stepped forward from the upper dais. Her voice echoed through the space. Velara of House Kael'Zareth, you stand accused of unlawful sanctuary, violation of caste boundaries, and corruption of the guardian chain. How do you answer? I do not deny it, Velara said clearly. Gasps scattered through the seats. The elder's tone darkened. You brought a human into sacred ground. You performed rites with him present. And now your guardian chose him, Velara said, and chose me, both. Murmurs surged around them. Jared heard snippets, impossible, fabrication, guardian delusion. The elder raised her hand for silence. Such a dual bond has never been recorded. Then it is time, Velara said, to stop pretending that our history is complete. The elder stared down. You would invoke the trial of Chain? I would, Velara said. Let Theris speak for herself. More gasps. One noble stood. This is blasphemy. A bond cannot be split. Velara turned toward the speaker. Then watch. She gave a soft whistle. Theris stepped forward, her paws echoing softly on the polished stone. Without hesitation, the tiger moved to Jared first. She brushed her massive head gently against his arm. Then she walked to Velara and pressed her forehead to the alien woman's sternum. The hall fell dead silent. Even the elder didn't speak. Velara let her hands fall to her sides. The guardian's will is clear. She is confused, another voice argued, reacting to trauma. Or perhaps, Velara said coldly, she is wiser than we are. The elder addressed Jared now. You, human, Jared Holt, did you seek this bond? No, Jared said. His voice cracked but held. I didn't even know it existed. I just saved her. The elder's eyes narrowed. And would you sever it now, if you could? Jared looked down at Theris, who had returned to stand between them. No, he said simply. I wouldn't. More voices rose from the gallery. Questions, doubts, accusations. The elder raised her staff once. Silence followed. The tribunal acknowledges that a guardian bond has formed with dual anchors, Velari and human. We cannot deny its existence. Velara exhaled slowly. But precedent must be honored. Law cannot be bent by accident. The elder faced her. Velara of House Kael'Zareth, you are hereby exiled from caste authority. Your name is stricken from the bloodlines. Velara's face did not change. She stood motionless. The elder turned to Jared. And you, Jared Holt, are designated unclean bound. You are not to be harmed, but may never enter Velari space again. You will live outside our protection, outside our records, outside our trust. Jared nodded. I've lived outside before. The gong rang once, deep and final. The trial was over. No applause, no outrage, just silence and eyes. The desert greeted them with wind and fading light. The guards left without a word. Once they passed the outer ring, it was done. No escort, no monitoring. They had been erased. Velara walked ahead for a few steps before stopping. She turned slowly. You still have time to walk away, she said. Jared looked at her. So do you. They stood across from each other, Theris sitting patiently between them. Velara finally said, They will tell stories about this. But not the right ones, Jared asked. What will they say? That the bloodline was broken, Velara replied. That a guardian went mad. That I followed a stranger into exile. He gave a quiet laugh. That last part might be true. She tilted her head. And you don't care? I care, Jared said, but not enough to undo it. Velara stepped closer. You know this isn't just about survival anymore. I know, Jared said. It's about meaning. They stood in silence. Then Velara spoke again, softly. You changed something, not just with Theris, with me. Jared's voice was gentle. You saved me first. No, Velara said. I chose you second. She looked to Theris. And she chose us both. Theris let out a soft exhale and rose, nudging them forward with her shoulder. Together, they walked into the red dusk, unwelcome in one world, uncertain in the next, but never alone again. The outpost wasn't on any map Jared could read. Velara called it Teth Eros, though her tone implied the name was older than memory. A sanctuary, once. Now little more than ruin and wind, tucked into the spine of a canyon that split the sky like a scar. They reached it 3 days after the trial, traveling mostly at night, avoiding known paths. Theris led the way, as if she'd walked it before. The entrance was carved straight into the stone. No door, just a slope that vanished into shadow. Inside, the air was cool, filtered through ancient vents. Dust clung to the walls. Crystals embedded in the stone glimmered faintly when they stepped close. "It used to be a monastery," Velari said, "before the bloodlines turned it into something else." Jared set his gear down in a collapsed alcove that still held the shape of a bed. "It's perfect," he said. She glanced at him. "It's exile." Jared shrugged. "Depends how you look at it." He spent the first day restoring a transmitter he found half buried in a sand-choked corridor. Not to call for rescue, just to feel useful. Velari wandered the upper level, brushing moss off carved symbols with her fingers. She never told him what they meant. They didn't talk much that first night, just sat beside a low fire, Theris curled between them like a breathing shield. By the second morning, the silence had softened. Jared found Velari standing outside, staring toward the canyon's lip. The twin suns had risen, low and close, casting gold over the cracked stone and making the dust sparkle like ash suspended in light. He walked to her slowly. She didn't turn. "I used to believe I knew what duty meant." He stopped beside her. "And now?" Velari hesitated, then said, "Now I think duty without choice is just obedience." Jared looked out at the red horizon. "So, this is choice?" Velari finally faced him. Her expression was unreadable, until it wasn't. "It is now." They didn't touch, didn't move closer. But the air shifted between them. He said, "You're not afraid?" "I'm terrified," Velari replied, "but not of them anymore." Jared's voice dropped. "Then what?" "That I won't be strong enough to protect this. Us." Her eyes flicked toward Theris, who lay atop a rock ledge nearby, watching them both. "That one day the memory of who I was will try to take it all back," Jared nodded slowly. "I'm not here to replace your past." "I know," Velari said. "You're here to write the next one." They stood quietly for a moment longer. Then Jared asked, "Will you tell me what this place really was?" Velari exhaled. "A place for the broken, for those who failed the path but refused to disappear. They came here. They waited." "For what?" She looked upward. "To see if the suns would rise for them too." That night the canyon wind carried something strange, warm, electric, unfamiliar. Theris rose from sleep first. Her head lifted sharply, ears forward. Then she made a sound Jared had never heard from her before, a low, drawn-out chuff. Not warning, not threat. A call. Velari stood in the archway, her face lit by moonlight. "She feels it too." Jared sat up. "Feels what?" Velari stepped back into the firelight. "Something ancient. This land remembers bonds." They followed Theris through a narrow cleft in the canyon wall, deeper than they'd ever gone. The stone glowed faintly in places, veins of crystal pulsing with slow color. At the end of the path stood a basin, empty, carved with interlocking rings. Velari whispered, "This was a binding pool, not for law, not for ritual, just for recognition." Theris stepped to the edge and sat. Velari turned to Jared. "Not everything needs witnesses," she said. "Not everything sacred must be public." He met her eyes. "Are you asking me to?" "I'm not asking," Velari said. "I'm offering." Jared took a breath, then stepped forward. They stood side by side, looking down into the dry stone circle. Velari said softly, "We were forced to share a bond. Now I want to choose one." Jared nodded. "Then I do too." They stepped into the basin together. Theris rose and paced the edge. The wind stilled. And though no light shone from the sky, something shimmered across the surface of the ring, an energy they both felt, somewhere between thought and skin. Jared said, "I don't know what happens next." Velari smiled faintly. "Then let's find out." At dawn, the twin suns rose again. This time they were ready. Velari stood at the edge of the canyon, wrapped in her faded travel cloak. Jared beside her, arms folded, eyes squinting into the light. Tharis lay sprawled behind them, massive and content, tail twitching in the dust. Neither exile nor legend, just three souls, bound by choice. And finally, free.